Hello guys, this is a quick tutorial for this week with the Qt. So we're gonna have, I'm gonna cover three things. The first one is how to make a table view and related model. And the second is how to use a menu. And third is how to load a file from the Qt, specifically in a comma separated values. So that's it. And yeah, first one, just make a new project. So like a lab 6, here we go, whatever. And your the environment kit, and it's a yeah, the class name, main window. I'm a big fan of main window, which is good. Here we go. All right, so this is the one. You have basically the main window class and main CPP and headers and forms. Here we go, which is cool. That's it. And yeah, that's it. And in the UI, the first one we would like to do is to set a menu. The type here, you just double click, type here, and menu or tools, whatever. We're gonna have only one tool though, but yeah, type here is like okay. One thing is that we're gonna make a quick dialer app with the the number pad and address book. So it's gonna be super fun. The tools here, open an address book. That is looking somehow cool. Open an address book, and if you'd like, you may want to add a separator and exit, a kind of a thing, so that you can make two cool menus. And you type here. If you'd like, you may want to add a help or credits or whatsoever. The following the existing menus. I mean Qt has the pretty good menus around. So I mean go ahead if you'd like. But on the one functionality I would like to show you guys is open an address book. That's it. So here, once you make it, you see the down here, right? Down here in the menu, you have the action open on address book, and something else like action exit. Those are actually the points you guys can make. What is it? The go to slot, right? Go to slot is the making an event handler for you guys. So like that, and triggered, then okay, then it's just yeah. So this is your event handler, which is cool. You guys are supposed to create your own logics here to open a file and yeah, open the file, choose dialog, and get a file path, and you will do all the things in along with your own model. So that is one, and the other things we need right now is something like you will have a tree view. No, table view. Table view is here, and table view actually has nothing right now. Oh, what? Yeah, it has nothing right now. But what I ask you guys to do is here, your table view and header. So the table, think of the Excel. Excel has a header, like a horizontal header and a vertical header. Sometimes the tables has it. But right now we are not gonna use those headers. So horizontal header and vertical header, both of them, we are not gonna make them visible. And scroll bar is here as well. So scroll, okay. So Q abstract scroll area properties, you want to have the horizontal scroll bar is always off, and vertical scroll bar is always on, because we're gonna keep our what is it, the address book here. So like first name, last name, and phone number, like that. And yeah, we're gonna display them here. And here's gonna be like a label this is not, I'm not gonna deal with it, but you guys may want to deal with it because I'm gonna be, putting all the details in the assignment. So, and some of the push buttons around, and you guys may want to make a digital keypad like this. This is a num 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and blah 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 like that. So, and this is just a placeholder push button for you guys to deal with it later. And yeah, like that. Let's see. And what else? Okay. So this is Q table view. We're gonna deal with it, and let's get back to the design, and we save it and run to make sure the DOM cute the creator has an idea, right? What it is. So like, and then tools, open an address book. Nothing happens because we specified nothing, and exit, nothing happens. For the exit, you may want to have event handler in the same way, and then it's this quick challenge. Google how to terminate a Qt app by code, and then implement the exit event handler as necessary. Okay, and get back to the edit and main window CPP. So model view controller, we need to have a model. So here is one thing is that you want to add a new class here, new class, and class name is my address book model, my address book model, and next. Here we go. And you have my address book model H and my address book model CPP, so both of them here. And this has actually nothing. In the declaration in the header file, I would like to add this like include Q abstract table model, and this make your class to extend Q abstract table model like this. Does it make sense, right? And here and I would like to ask you to make some small changes like a Q object here in the constructor, Q object parent, right? Like this, and here as well. And then this is actually an inherited model, so you need to specify Q abstract table model and parent like this. So in this way, you guys can make sure this one is, the nicely the extended model, inherited model, I mean class from the Q abstract table model, and your model is actually, has a full compatibility to the Q abstract table model, which is supposed to work with your Q table view in the, in the UI, right? So we're gonna implement, the full MVC framework right now, which is gonna be super cool, and and it's a lot more professional way to deal with it. Okay, and you have this one, and click the right click in a class and refactor and insert the virtual functions of base classes. This is actually a nice perk of using good IDEs. And here what you see is that row count and column count and data, those are already checked, right? Which is good. Those are the most, the important functions and essential functions for you to implement when you define a address book model. So here, row count and column count and data are already defined, right? Those are actually the the code snippets for you to implement as a Q abstract item model interface, which is cool. And row count, you right click and refactor and add definition in my address book model.cpp, and you will have this here, right? Get back to the header file and column count as well, refactor, add definition, CPP. And once again, header file, and data, and go to refactor, add definition, CPP. Here we go, right? And get back to model H, and let me work on here a little bit, right? So here, we had a full model of, my address book. Just in case, row count and column count. Let me do like this. Return how many rows you are having right now. Rows 1, 2, 3. Let's say just a 2. And how many columns? Let's say 3. 2. And how many columns? Return 3. And data. So if you get a data, then what you can do is mostly like you basically have return Q variant. This is just a kind of the by default bottom. If you say if, please don't ask why, bottom, just to follow me. Role is the role here, the second parameter. If the role is Qt display role and you do something, is that return like what is it? Returning like model view. Let me check my own reference. And okay, and return QString row %1 and column %2. This is a quick the formatting arg index row +1, and just let me just eliminate +1s. I mean, it's confusing. Arg index column, right, like this, and otherwise return Q variant, and get back to the model. The main window.cpp, and here in main window.h, let us add a new include my address book model, and added my address book model, my model. Let's call it as a my model. And in the main window.cpp, what you guys do is to add my model, new my address book model. That's it. So you guys can successfully what is it? Yeah, you guys can, yeah, this is this main window, so that you guys can successfully initialize my address book model to work on. And one more thing you guys need to do is around here is you guys have your own table view in the UI, table view, and set model that is my model, so that your table view and your my model has an explicit link between the between in between, so that my model can send a message to the table view to update the view, so that we can rely on a little bit more legit the model view controller framework and programming pattern, which is cool. So that's it. And once you run it, what you're supposed to see is, oh yeah, so here address book model. What is that? I'm having an error. I don't know. So like let's see, main window and model is totally good. Here everything looks totally fine. Yeah, let me just clean everything and build everything back again. Oh, one QMake and generate compilation and rebuild everything. Let me check it. Mm-hmm. Yeah, now it's working. And what you see is a row 0 and column 0, row 0 and column 1, row 0 and column 2. Row 0, column 1, row 1, column 0, 1 and 1, and 1 and 2, so that the row count is this function row count is being asked by the table view, and then the model automatically gives an information to the view directly without any the our code. No, but also the column count is 3 given by 3, and the data is also automatically called by the view, or once we made the explicit connection that we set the table views set model is in my model. So they already started to interact between each other, interact to each other. It automatically gets the data. So the matter here is if we set the data, if we change the data function in the model, then it will automatically feed the data to the actual table view. So which is super cool, right? And here is so what you're supposed to do is to list up the address books, first name and last name and first phone number from a file that that I would like to provide you guys already in a Canvas or any the necessary links. Yeah, that's it. And here, so we learned how to make a reliable connection and good connection between a model and a view. And the next thing is that I would like to show you guys how to make a good connection and call a chain of the file open and using a dialog. So let's see. You guys had an UI and a menu. The having what is it? The open address book file, right? So let's call that. Let's make it happen to call that here. And what I see is that 1 second. So yeah, so one thing is that here, so we're gonna use a file dialog that is, let me see, qstring file name is, before then let's include the qfile dialog, and then file name is so qfile dialog, and in that file dialog namespace get open file name, and that is, this is the first, and then the next is tr open address book, and okay, the next, and then the third parameter is just a null, and tr, the next one is address book and star.csv, because we are going to use the csv file in all files like this, and we close it, and we close one another, and we good to go. And then let's just have iostream, and let's print that out. Std cout the file name, that to standard string, and then std and line. Here we go. And you run it. Okay, and tools, open an address book. Then it will give us a file open dialog, and my CSV file is here in my downloads folder. So open, and it prints out, right? So users, it's actually in this, the file path, which is super cool. And we're gonna open a file using this, the file name. So what you guys are supposed to do is in your my address book model.h, you guys make a new the function open file q string file path like this, and then open file refactor and add definition in CPP. Here we go. So you guys now have the open file, right? The function defined, and what you guys are supposed to do is my model open file and then file name, right? Like this. Good, right? So you guys open the file and read the file here, right? How to do that? It's super easy. Q file, the file is like file path, first one, and you need to add Q file, right? And just in case, IOStream. I'm a big fan of IOStream. Here we go. And if file.open, right? And QIO device read on me. This is the reading option. And then Q message box information, the message box. We need to also include Q message box 2, and then Q message box info or information 0 error file.error string, like this. In this way, you guys can deal with the error in just in case if it is locked, or if the file name from the file path is wrong, for some reason, then you guys can just return, right? And then you add Q text stream in and end the file, right? So this is this is just a stream like IOStream or something, but provided by Q text stream like this, and you're good to go, right? And the next thing you guys do is while in at end is this end of file EOF kind of a thing. You guys know what it is, right? Q string line is in that read line, and then Q string list fields is line dot split comma, and that's it. So here what you're supposed to do is, okay, so we are supposed to open a CSV file, which means like a comma separated values, and the file I give you guys is a very nicely treated file already edited by myself. Like, all the values are comma separated like this, right? And first line is header, right? And the first name, last name, what is the name spot? And the address and where it is and zip code, and then the phone number. This is first phone number and second phone number and email address and homepage, like that. This is pretty well organized, right? So I wouldn't to push you guys into the database right now. I mean, so let's just stick with just the comma separated files, because it's pretty easy for us to parse, right? And let's do this for like integer I, j is 0, j plus j is fields size length, right? And j plus plus, the reason why it's j, then I may add I sometime later, right? So let's see. Fields length and print standard cout like index. I'm gonna print one by one to get a better idea what's happening, right? So like j and fields add, or just the j should be fine, like this. Add j dot to standard string, and yeah, and that's it. And then at the end of the for, std cout, std end line, like this. And then let's run that. So in this case, what I'm expecting is so open and then downloads and CSV, and what I have here is okay. So first name and last name and address and blah 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 blah. So first name is index 0 and in last name index 1 and the phone number is at index 7, right? So if you can hold all the data in a kind of a specific vector or specific data format or whatsoever, then you can have a nice data source of a file, and then you store that, load it into the memory if you'd like. So let me show you guys how to do that. I mean, this is just my example. You don't necessarily have to follow me, but I'm sure this is kind of a pretty good example. So let me include a vector. You guys know vector probably. And vector QString first names. Vector QString last names. Vector QString phone numbers. Here we go. Right. Standard vector. Here we go, and here we go, and here we go, right? So standard vectors, QString, first name, last name, phone numbers, right? So before they fully read the file, first name dot clear and last names clear and phone numbers dot clear, because we load a new file. Here we go. And here, where is it? So here we check that all the data is pretty well organized. We confirmed it, and then first names dot pushback. At the end of it, we push the fields 0, because the index 0 field is first name, and last names pushback fields 1, and phone numbers that push back the fields 2, like this. You got it, right? It's just pretty cool. Yeah. So I liked it, and after this we can say that I had to close the file that close. Here we go. Yeah, after this I'm pretty confident that the first names, last names, and phone numbers, they all have a very good data structures, right? And the same number of records, like if it has 30, then it should have 30. Oh, I haven't they closed it. Okay, and then that means like, okay, now we can say row count and column count can be different. So like return, not just the 3 columns. No. 3 columns is fine. I mean, because first name, last name, phone number is fine. And row count, we can now return first names that size, right? If the size of the first names means like, okay, number of people in that address book, and the data can now return the actual numbers, right? Actual data set we just read and stored in first names, last names, and phone numbers, which is super cool, right? So if role is display role, I mean, yeah, here we are modifying those lines. So like control / to make it as the comments. And then we give, okay, so if the column is 0, then first name, column is 1, then last name, and column is 2, then email address, right? So switch case, index the column, and then case 0 means like first name, right? And then return the first names dot add index dot row, like this. In case 1, return first last names add index row. And case 2, return, this is return, so no need of a break, right? Phone numbers that add index row, right? then we can nicely represent all of the data, row count and column count, depending on the current records, right? Read from the address book model, right? This is super cool. And one more thing is that after read the file, the model should notify the view that the data has been changed, right? This is particularly very important. So after the close, you need to emit. Emit is sending a message from model to, not necessarily from model every time, but in this case, from model to view. So you need to call the emit and where is it? Layout, change it, and then you're good to go. So with this, you have a fully functional link between the model and the view with the file loaded. So here, this is yeah, open an address book and downloads and CSV. You load it and first name and last name and yeah, address. Oh yeah, oh no. So the address is actually the phone numbers. Phone numbers are from actually the index 7, so we need to have an index 7 bottom. This one is address, right? And this one header, we don't necessarily have to have a header, but the header is already also read by the file, so it somehow came. So let me just change the index of phone numbers into 7, and let's see if it the correctly read the CSV file and phone number, right? First name, last name, and phone number, which is good. And we may want to make it a little bit larger. So first one, let me make it a little bit larger, like this, which is good. And for the appearance, I mean, I will count this on you. I mean, you guys do your job to make it's a beautiful look. So 7 is good, and here, okay. So phone numbers is all working right now. One more thing is that we may want to ditch the header, right? So I mean, remove the first line. So if you may want to set a flag for the first line or something, because this is no the line count. But my way of making a line count index is that for integer I is 0, and until the ending case is the same, but on every line you add 1 to I, and after reading the line, if I is 0, means like a first line, then continue. Then the line count is still here, and ending condition is still here, and we have the increasing index, which is good. So after this, you run it, then you have what you have is like this. So no header, yeah, James, but Josephine, the Raki, all the names are artificially generated by somebody else over the internet, and those are actually the ones who's working, which is super good. Is that correct? Which is good, right? That is it. And I think I covered pretty much everything between. Yeah, one more thing. So for the dialer, smart dialer, I'd like to ask you guys if any of the cell is checked, then your text label is automatically displaying the phone number, corresponding phone number. So we need to specify the event handler for this table view model, which is be able to by go to slot and the clicked, right? The clicked Q model index, then okay. Then you have right now have on table view clicked, and if you here you have a Q model index which contains row and in column number, so that like std cout Q model index. Oh no, index right now, index dot row and comma index column and std and line endl And what you guys can do is, so here what I have is, after you guys loaded the file, and you guys click, right? Click 0, 2, 1, 2. So whatever you guys click, you guys can have the row number in the first, right? So you can use that as a kind of a data. I mean, the index data inputs for the controller to fetch the data from the model, so that so to say, if you make a new like integer, no, Q string, uh, get font number and integer index, right? And once you get, this one in model is supposed to return a font number Q string for the given index. So you add a definition here, and then return font numbers at index. That's it, right? So, and then main window, so like UI label, set text, and is it my model? What is it? Get phone number and index.row, like this. And then you will see, depending on your click, your UI will automatically update the label, this one, like this. Pretty cool, right? And this will be a kind of a one functionality that I will ask you guys to do with your address book. So this is a basic tutorial how you guys can work with tree view and table view, Q table view, and Q abstract table model, your own model, corresponding model around that. So hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and keep up the good work in the assignment. Thank you guys.